everyone, and welcome here to a very special edition of the Bobcat Buzz, exclusively on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Bryant Stratton College Syracuse. We are here with the director of Syracuse Campuses, Mary Hawkins, who oversees the Syracuse and Liverpool campuses here in New York. Mary, how are you?
Great, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, I'm happy to have you here. It's been less than a year's time. And you came here to lead Syracuse.
Yes.
And now you're leading Syracuse and Liverpool. Just what you could say in less than a year, how you have elevated yourself and elevated the leadership expectations of this community as well as your personal expectations to be where you are right now.
Sure. When I arrived, I really saw a huge opportunity for both locations to be more involved in the community. And so that's kind of where I've led from. Is Bryant Stratton has been around for 170 years and 40 locally. So how can we be a better community partner, be better understood in the community, contribute, and also increase our student population, hopefully our number of Bobcat fans.
And you speak about the fact of 170 years, the birthday bash, the celebration that has gotten to happen for Bryant Stratton College in general, and getting to celebrate here at Syracuse on the campus, and just what that's meant for you. You had Scooch, you had the Crunch Man, obviously you have the Bobcat. What is that, for you? Why was it so important to have the birthday bash and celebrate 170 years?
I thought we could have a solemn event and have a ribbon cutting and, have 170 years of history, or we could kind of take a page from Disney, like how they have Mickey's birthday.
Yeah.
So we have Blue's birthday in honor of our 170 years. And who better to celebrate with Blue than, the Crunch Man and Scooch, the other mascots in Syracuse.
Yeah, and for you, why did you want to do something so unique like that and why was it important to have the Crunch and have the Syracuse Mets?
To hopefully, expand our fan base, basically, that people, I just sat at a meeting today with someone who mentioned that we had, Crunch Man on campus and how that was something that her family wanted to come and see. So I think having that association with those other teams will help elevate our brand to where it should be.
And when you talk about elevating the brand of Bryant Stratton College and Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse specifically, how do you kind of look at the vision of the elevation of that brand? What do you see as things, steps, dominoes that you'd like to see fall in order to elevate the brand?
Well, we've been really reaching out to the community, working with local community agencies. We have some great partnerships with those agencies so that they understand who Bryant Stratton is now. The fact that we're nonprofit as of a year ago, that we have Middle States accreditation, that we have bachelor level degrees. There used to be the thought that we were a business school, but now more of our students actually are in healthcare programs.
Yeah.
So kind of getting that word out and letting people know who Bryant Stratton is now, that's really what we've been doing.
And we're here right now speaking on the Syracuse campus, but the Liverpool campus that has evolved over time, and I drive by it all the time. It is absolutely beautiful and just a nice gem to have here. What can you say about the Liverpool campus and the importance of having two different places here with Syracuse and Liverpool for people to go to?
Yeah. We love being part of the Liverpool community. We've had a great reception there. People are amazed that this used to be a pool and spa building, and before that I think it was a pharmacy, and now it's a gorgeous campus. So it's been great to have there, and right off 57, so it's very accessible. That has really grown. We still have other programs there, but our Bachelor of Science in Nursing program is a huge presence there. As you can imagine, we already have over 200 students in just over 3 years of running that program, and many graduates. And then downtown, we offer the full variety of programs, and we're on the bus line. I think that's been very helpful. So kind of a tale of two cities in a good way.
Yeah, and I, obviously our partnership with Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse with Dan Tortora Broadcast Media. I also have a partnership with Avicoli's that's right across the street from the Liverpool campus.
It's great.
And the food, very good there. So you picked a good location as far as eating well, so to speak.
Yeah, it's easy to go there and get a slice.
So for you, Mary, when we look at leadership, how do you define it for you?
I feel like you have to lead through people. And so, I can't go and just accomplish everything myself. I really need people to know the vision of where we're going, how we're already great, but how much greater we can be, and that they can see that and become engaged with it, share it with their teams. So really working with my leaders to lead their teams to the goals that we're setting, to just that higher level of academic excellence and student service and athletics, all the things that we do.
You spoke with me off the air when I asked you, how do you like it here in less than a year? And you said, I love it. I love my team. Mm-hmm. What is it about your team as the leader here, as the director of Syracuse Campuses for Syracuse and Liverpool? What about your team do you love so much?
They're so dedicated on the management team. Of course, our nursing program director is newer, but everyone else, the least amount of tenure is 17 years. Oh, yeah. So I feel like I've been here 10 months and I bleed blue already. They've bled blue, for many years, some of them 30 years. So that level of dedication and knowledge that they have, they really care about the student, and that is the center of Bryant Stratton College.
For you, when you came into this role and this opportunity, which is, of course, evolved, where was Bryant Stratton at when you came in here in Syracuse, and where in 10 months have we grown?
I would say we were still operating in a during like a COVID mentality. So we hadn't quite broken out of that to where, okay, we're back, we're out in the community, we're having the community on campus. So that has been the huge change. And it's, even though I've only been here 10 months, I walk into a lot of rooms now that people know me and they associate me with Bryant Stratton College. So that's been a huge positive change.
And for you, when we talk about leadership, who have been some mentors for you that you can reach back to and say, I still think about this thing that they said, I still call this person? What are some of those pieces?
Yeah, one of my favorite mentors was a professor in my adult education master's program, and what I really learned from him was to look at each person and look, rather than look at their weaknesses, look at their strengths. And I think that's probably in common, with coaching as well, that you get a lot more out of someone and you're able to help them more when they feel valued on their strengths, and you lean into their strengths. So that person, I always remember one of my first supervisors who was the first one to give me an opportunity to manage something, and I was, a young kid. I didn't know anything. I pretended to know some things, but she just mentored me in every way and helped me see that things that you might think are impossible or extremely difficult to do, that you can do them when you work with a team.
And for you, being on this team that you're on, what, when we talk about the importance of the team and how much you love this team, what is it about teamwork that you have learned the most about yourself that maybe in the beginning was not where you wanted it to be, but now you look at it and say, okay, when I'm working in a team, I now know that I need to do this?
I think it's easy when you're early in your career to think that you know everything. That's probably very common. And I did, get to speak a lot and kind of influence a lot of things. And as I've matured as a leader and as a person, understanding that it's important to get everyone's perspective, and that's how you inform, the decisions that you're making.
You're wearing the pinstripes.
I am.
We know that the baseball team is in its second season after being an inaugural team last year. We'll get into the fact that this is the first campus you've worked on that has athletics, but what is it about the baseball team and Sean Peak, the head coach, that you love? Because very rarely in life do we get to see something literally grow from its infancy, and you get to do that with the Bryant Stratton Syracuse baseball team.
Sean Peak has so much passion and heart, and I'm sure you know that, having worked with him and seeing him, learn to grow a program has been, really meaningful to me, to be able to help him kind of grow in his leadership, and working with Nick, the athletic director, and helping Sean grow in his leadership. So that's been great. I got to see a game. They have a lot of heart, and I know as we grow, there'll also be more winning, along with that heart. But baseball's a fun game to watch.
And you mentioned Nick Dimitrievsky, the athletics director here at Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse. What is it about his leadership, as well as being the men's soccer head coach, and Alex Grigorita, the assistant athletics director and the women's soccer head coach? You have two teams here, and the two faces leading the athletic department have won national championships, and every year it's become commonplace that Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse in men's and women's soccer is going to be in the national tournament, if not just in the national tournament, normally in the national championship game. I mean, we're talking about Syracuse, New York, my hometown, 10 minutes away I grew up, and we have two teams vying for national championships, going to the national championship game and winning national championships. Just what men's and women's soccer and the leadership of Nick and Alex has meant to you.
They've been so welcoming. I mean, bringing in a new campus director and having to train me, which I'm sure Nick would say, in athletics and then in the Bryant Stratton athletics in specific. So they've been very welcoming. I consider them to kind of be two halves of they both bring unique strengths to the role. I mean, Nick's been here 25 years, which is amazing. You know, you just think about the longevity of everyone here. That's been great. And between he and Alex, you know, they manage the programs. I think it's unique that, you know, as the athletic director and the assistant athletic director, Nick and Alex both still coach teams, so they can talk from their experiences to the other coaches, not just from kind of the leadership role, but they're right in the trenches along with them.
Yeah, and like you said, overseeing and understanding athletics, it's also unique in the fact that Alex played for Nick. So having that side of it, and then men's and women's basketball, I know that you go out to the games because I've seen you out at the games, and for, you know, Tay Baker and what he's working to do with women's basketball, they just made history in winning their first ever USCAA Division I national tournament game in the history of women's basketball. And on the men's side with Clay Gagan Sherman, who started the women's program, now taking over the men's program of these last 2 years and going back to the national tournament himself. Just what you could say about men's and women's basketball and you seeing that firsthand as well.
I love having these young coaches on campus, and one of the most fun things for me with any of the, you know, the men's and women's team is, you know, you watch either the men or the women play and have the other team cheer them on, and then you switch and watch that team, and just that camaraderie that the teams have created amongst themselves, that it makes the event so special.
And so when you look at the fact that this is your first experience in leadership with athletic programs that are happening under your leadership, what has that been like for you to add sports into the world, add sports into your resume, and to be on a campus that is so ingrained on truly being the Bobcats and being this big family?
It's been so much fun. I'm trying to think of how to describe it, but it really, the feeling on the campus, I'm sure you've seen that, is much different than a campus that doesn't have athletics. So, you know, we all wear our Bobcat gear. People get excited. They follow the teams. If they can't go, then they'll watch, you know, the video. So it pulls the campus together, and that's very special.
And another thing that is building itself under Connor Carroll is esports with Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse. Why in the world that we live in today do you think it's important to have esports as one of the athletic opportunities here at Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse?
Well, it's definitely a burgeoning, you know, sport. There was just an article in the Chronicle of Higher Education talking about, you know, alternative sports and the importance of welcoming, you know, different kinds of athletes on campus. So I haven't seen any esports competitions yet. I saw my teenagers play video games, but it'll be exciting to see kind of the college level competitive play.
And you've gotten so ingrained in this. You have put yourself out there in so many unique ways. There are directors of campuses, you know, there's athletic directors that don't show up to athletic events. There's campus directors that don't show up to events. There's presidents and chancellors that don't show up to events. Why is it so important for you to know the coaches to know you, and the student athletes to know you and you them as well?
Yeah, they're an important, you know, part of our college, and our student athletes at Syracuse are about a fourth of our student population. So they're a large segment. I grew up, I was a cheerleader. And then for soccer, I was the equipment manager. I was a cheerleader for basketball. So I've been around sports and always enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But I think they're, in a lot of ways, they're the heart and soul of the campus. And, just I want to honor that, and I want them to see, that what they're doing is important to me, and it's, almost as important as what goes on in the classrooms.
Yeah.
They're student athletes, so I have to focus on the student part a little more, but it is very important to us.
And how do we build up that academic side? What can you say about, if you're getting an education from Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse, what is the weight of that education to you? And what do you want people to know about what is offered and how the student and student athlete, the academia side of things, is a valued component here? What is an education from Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse? What should we know?
Well, that's a big question. In so many ways. I mean, I've been a big proponent of education ever since I went back to school as an adult and earned my bachelor's degree and was able to support my 2 children. And then I worked at a school where I saw people that left they mill jobs, back in the day, and they make toothpicks or snowshoes or whatever in the mills. Those jobs went overseas, and people had to go back to school. So I've seen the power of education in difficult times in people's lives. Our athletes tend to be the more traditional, student, but they might be the first in their family to go to college. So just that power of education to provide you with that control in your own life, that that I have this education, I know I can have a good job, support my family, and then being an influence to others that then might choose to pursue education. So education to me is just so powerful.
And you've been in different parts of the country. How would you describe Central New York?
My favorite thing, so I live on the river in Fulton, and so I'm able, when it's nice weather, I'm able to go kayaking like every morning or twice a day sometimes.
Yeah.
So that's been huge to me. I heard it described as that we have green and blue spaces here, and I would say that's definitely true. I'm a country girl, so I love being able to kind of get out in nature, and that's what I appreciate about Central New York.
And remind everybody where you hail from.
I'm from Buckfield, Maine, which is a tiny town, home to Patrick Dempsey and McDreamy on Grey's Anatomy, who I went to high school with.
Yeah. And what was he McDreamy back then?
He was 4'10" and 80 pounds.
Okay.
But he did play soccer on the boys' soccer team where I was the equipment manager.
So you went to school with Patrick. Are you surprised when you see like what he had become on Grey's Anatomy to people and
Yes.
remembering him in class?
For sure. And we were in a play together in high school. He was the lead and I was a dead person.
And you were a dead person.
So I guess his, I had lines, but I guess his career, was maybe foreshadowed by that because I think he was a freshman and we all wondered how he got the lead in the play.
Well, and I'm looking at this saying if you had lines as a dead person, was it the Telltale Heart? What were you?
It was our town.
Okay.
So we were looking over the town and making comments on Patrick and then our classmate who had to kiss him in the play. So,
if you had to overlook Patrick Dempsey now and make comments, what would you say?
I mean, he won. But he owes me a pair of Calvin Klein jeans because he pulled the label off mine in study hall. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's what I would tell him. I want my jeans.
Dempsey, I don't think we want jeans. I think you need to buy her like a town or a city,
Sure.
maybe a new kayak.
Sponsor an athletic field for Bryant Stratton College.
Yeah, how about that? Sponsoring athletic field. There you go, Dempsey. You pulled tags off of jeans, and now you owe us a field or court.
Right.
So I like that.
Yeah.
How did you win in life?
I won by being persistent. I rarely take no for an answer.
Yeah.
And I think, I won. I mean, it's, people love to say about their children, but I have great children. Actually, my younger son is taking me to France in September, so that's a win.
Yeah. How old are they?
32 and 33.
32 and 33.
Mm-hmm.
And their names?
Ryan and Corey.
So who's bringing you?
Corey is bringing me to France in September. He's a software developer.
So Ryan
Ryan
owes
might
you
come.
okay.
I know. He might tag along.
What's Ryan going to do? We're getting a field from Dempsey. Corey's bringing you overseas. So what's Ryan going to do?
I'm going to have to, hit him up and see what I can get out of him.
All right.
Maybe some uniforms.
Maybe some uniforms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We're going to play rapid fire in just a moment. But when you and I got to speak for the first time, we did a panel discussion where you were in here recently.
Mm-hmm.
So through this panel discussion, you got to know the coaches,
yes.
and the coaches got to know you.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to that time, what did that mean to you of having the world get to know you at the same time that the coaching staff was getting to know you?
We built a lot of rapport. If you remember, we talked about Ted Lasso, and I assigned characters to the coaches, and I've not outlived that yet. So we established really kind of good-natured ribbing, amongst us, and I think, I want to have authentic relationships with the people that I work with, and I think we definitely established those under your guidance, especially with the rapid fire questions. So.
Well, I'm happy that something lived on from that. And the Ted Lasso, I remember, too, that I had given my own 2 cents on where I thought Nick was and some of these other guys and whatnot. And we actually extended it because when I did a broadcast a few months back with Alex Grigorita that we mentioned, the assistant athletic director and the women's soccer head coach, I said to him, instead of doing rapid fire the traditional way, because him and I both watched Ted Lasso, I said, why don't you stand off camera like you're a media person, and I'll do a press conference, and then we'll flip and we'll do it the other way. And so we actually had a lot of fun with that.
That's funny. I can picture that. Alex is great. He's quick on his feet.
Yeah, definitely. We made it interesting. So let's play rapid fire, Miss Hawkins.
All right.
What do you have for me? You got the first question.
Oh, I have the first question.
You do.
What do you like best about your partnership with Bryant Stratton College?
I like the fact that, it's really what I say on the show. I give myself an opportunity every broadcast in the morning when Wake Up Call is on between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. from Monday through Friday. I take the time I don't pre-record something for Bryant Stratton Syracuse because I want to say something in the moment. And what I've really gone back to is I just say, it's such a unique gem in our community. If you have the opportunity if you still have eligibility years left, you can be of a different age and you can come back. If you're looking to have your education, if you never went to school, if you went to school partially, or if you went to school for something and you feel like, hey, this isn't the major that I really feel passionate about and I want to do something else, I just feel like Bryant Stratton College Syracuse offers such a unique angle on the athletic world and the academic world that can really speak to people of different ages, different backgrounds, different situations. And I don't work with anybody like Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse, so I like the fact that I get to have this gem, this little ace in my hole that I can pull out here, ace in the hole pocket thing, and take it out and put it on the table and say to people, if you didn't finish your education, or if you didn't like what you got, or if you really want to get into athletics and maybe later on in life you started to work toward it or take care of your body more or get a passion for something, I like that Bryant Stratton is something that is not your traditional place, and it can provide that opportunity to come from high school right into college, but it can also provide that opportunity to say wherever life has taken you before right now, you could find a path that bridges that gap from your high school days to your collegiate days, and you can really find something of value where you can have pride and accomplishment. And I think Bryant Stratton gives people a reason to smile and a reason for hope and a reason to build their next chapter the way that they want to build it. And that's how I describe it.
That's well said.
So it means a lot to me.
Yeah, I'm glad.
It really does. So I'll say this to you, Mary. Since you came on after the start of our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership, what do you see in the value of working with me?
I think people love watching the podcast. The coaches joke about being afraid of being on the podcast, but here I am on the podcast, so I guess you guys should do it.
Yeah.
But they do enjoy it, and I think it does also help build our brand in the community, so I'm really grateful for that.
It definitely means a lot to me, and I love getting to see where they're going to bring me and where I bring them, and all of the personalities that we get, and how I've gotten to know and kind of pull out more from, coaches and the student athletes have been just wonderful too.
I love them. Yeah,
they've been great. What's your next one for me?
Another question.
Yeah, we're gonna have two more apiece. So what do you got?
Okay, so let's see. I know I asked you before what your favorite sport was to play or to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Has that changed at all? And especially given the rise of some of the female athletes that we've seen in the Final Four. So what do you think about that?
Well, I can honestly say that I covered women's athletics when it wasn't cool.
Mm-hmm.
I covered women's athletics when people probably thought I was crazy. They thought it was a waste of time. And I thought that was highly disrespectful. So I can honestly say that before my boss forced me to cover women's athletics, which I think happens in the last few years, where people are talking about stuff because they have to, because it's socially acceptable, because they'll get called out if they don't. I didn't do it out of fear. If anything, I did it when people were telling me to be afraid to do it. Mm-hmm. So I can say to the world that covers women's athletics now, welcome to the party. But I will be 21 years a broadcaster in November, and I started my career covering women's and men's basketball equally.
That's great.
So I can respond to you by saying I love it, I have loved it, I don't see gender. When it comes to athletics, if you're a man or a woman playing, I respect you. And I played basketball my whole life. And our women's team at Marywood University was far better than our men's team when I was there. And the irony that Tara Machako was the head coach, and now she's back at Marywood. So she's come full circle. I would say my thoughts on my favorite sport to cover, I mean, I found love for all of them because of the people. Mm-hmm. I think with Bryant Stratton Syracuse, you realize it's about the people. When I cover athletics, it's about the people. And I could say I love soccer more growing up in my early 20s because I dated someone who played collegiately, and she taught me and her family taught me, and then I coached. So I have a unique passion for soccer. I've always played basketball, so I have a love for basketball. Esports is something that I'm really kind of letting me take, like I'm going on this journey. And then in the world of baseball, I think Sean caught me at a good time because I love baseball now more than I ever have. So I think Bryant Stratton it's got a little piece of so many unique elements, and I think anyone who treats a man or a woman differently, especially within the same sport, is highly ignorant, misguided, and I would hope that you would open your eyes and ears to the fact that student athletes of the male and female gender offer such a wonderful experience, and if you close your mind to one or the other, you're going to miss out on a lot.
Yeah. Well, I thought of my last question for you.
Okay.
What's the funniest blooper you've had happen on a podcast?
Oh, okay. I don't know if you're ready for this one, Mary. I don't know if you're ready.
Uh-oh.
It was a sexual comment.
Oh no.
That I made. Now it was to a friend. It was funny, but I'm going to tell. You asked me, and I'm going to tell you. So I was in college, started my career, built a program called MU Courtside, which still goes on to today. I think it's called something different now. Should still be MU Courtside, in my opinion, Marywood. But we were told we were off the air. It was halftime. I was broadcasting by myself, and I was doing play-by-play and color for the men's and women's games. And my buddy Brandon said, we simulcast on TV and on radio. And we had like 10,000 people on TV, 10,000 people on radio. So we're out here simulcasting, and we're going to the community of northeastern Pennsylvania, including Scranton. So he said, we're off the air, TV and radio. So I would always mess with Brandon because, I was the best man at his wedding. Like, we're close friends for many years now. So I said to Brandon and my buddy Steve Stahl, love you, Steve. Steve was in the control room for radio, and Brandon Smith was in the control room for TV. And they were right behind me. So where we had the gym at the time, they were behind the bleachers in this room, and they were running the control room from on site. So I said to Brandon, how about you be the macaroni and I'll be the cheese so I could spread myself all over you, is what I said. And it was a joke between brothers. We're family. And I said it, he laughed, And then we got back on the air, and my headphones, they're talking to me in my headphones, and I could hear myself in my headphones, and I could hear them, and I'm covering the game live. And Brandon said, I don't know if I should tell you this, but don't do anything on the air. Like, don't say anything. I'm just going to tell you so you know. He said, I just want you to know that when we told you were off the air, we were off television, but because Steve did not know how to run the control room in radio yet, he thought he shut us off, but he never hit the button. So I told 10,000 people what I wanted to do to Brandon.
Oh, no.
And I said, and I'm literally covering the game, going back and forth of the action, and I said into my mic piece, just so you know, to the people that were listening, I meant every word that I said. And then I kept going. So that was probably my biggest blooper, but also one of my funniest moments. And I could say I got Steve back because I played a lot of pranks on him in college.
Good. Glad you got him back.
I did. And I don't regret it to this day because it was a joke and I love my comedy. So, Mary, I got 2 for you.
Sure.
How about this? What is the most comedic moment of your life?
Oh, there have been a lot. I'll go with one that was also a little dark but funny.
Okay.
So at my mother's funeral.
Okay.
I'm
this is
the
how we're
youngest
starting
of
it.
9,
Yes.
and we're very competitive, amongst ourselves. And I had written a great eulogy, of course, that I delivered, and it went over so well. So as I'm walking down the stairs, after I did it, I said, "Top that." And my brother in the front row said, "I will." And he got up, and then he did a eulogy.
Oh, he did one after your eulogy.
Yes.
Okay. So normally there's one eulogy.
I know.
So he decided to.
Yes, he ad-libbed, and it was
Okay.
not as good as mine. But yes, we're a very competitive family.
So
and we
competitive
do
to the
some
point
comedy.
of funerals.
Yes, sadly. Hmm.
Do you think that if we polled your family right now that they would pick your eulogy over his?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough.
Especially I'm more well-liked, so.
You're more well liked in the
Yes.
family. Is this older or younger brother?
Older.
Older brother?
I'm the baby of 9.
You're the youngest of 9.
Mm-hmm.
Were you treated with kid gloves and just given whatever you wanted?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And my brothers protected me, so.
Your brothers protected you. So what is the mashup of the 9 boys and girls?
So 3 brothers that are, closest to me in age,
Okay.
and then a sister, another sister, a couple brothers, and then a sister. So
Okay.
yeah, kind of all mixed throughout, but 5 boys and 4 girls.
So almost completely balanced.
Mm-hmm.
How did your family deal with that?
I know. That's how you grow up, so you think that's how it is.
Did you all get
but-
to eat, or was it like the George Lopez lick it and pass it?
Well, we were, by the time I was a child, some of them were already out of the house because they
Okay.
were already in their 20s.
Yeah.
But I did have one brother who ate as if everyone was going to steal his food. So kind of,
Yeah. Jail yard eating.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. My last question for you, Mary, as that was a very unique thing to learn. I would say my last thing for you, Mary, is growing up in a family of 9. How did you find a way to be heard and to be uniquely yourself when there were 8 other family members that came up before you?
I know. I was the bookworm.
Okay.
And kind of the geek, basically. So they were all much cooler than I was. But I had, my own thing. I excelled academically. And so I think that was kind of what made me different. But I just kind of kept my head down and didn't get in trouble. So that differentiated me.
And now the leader of 2 campuses in central New York, and in less than 10 months got a promotion
Yes.
for the opportunity. So I think you got something to brag about when you go back to. Do you do the family get-togethers for holidays?
We do. We do more family reunions every couple
Okay.
of years because there are so many of us.
Are you still
But those are
competitive?
always fun. Yes, we are still competitive.
What's the last competition you guys did?
After the funeral one, I think it's basically whose kids are better now.
Well, your child is bringing you to France, so
and the other one has an MBA
right.
and is a financial analyst at a hospital, a senior financial analyst. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of winning.
Do you feel that you've passed down the competitive nature to your children?
For sure.
Okay.
When they were growing up, I didn't let them win at games, and now they're very competitive.
Okay. All right. And now I want to go to a Hawkins family reunion.
Yes.
I feel like I need to be there.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun.
So, with that being said, for Mary Hawkins, the leader of the Bryant Stratton Campuses, the director of campuses for the Syracuse location and the Liverpool location, in this edition of the Bobcat Buzz on the leadership side of things, Mary, as always, it's a pleasure to have you. It's a pleasure to see you. She's always smiling, and she's always doing something, and I think that that speaks volumes. There's so many leaders that lead from a castle, and you do not. You're always with the people, and you're always putting yourself around and coming here and building this partnership. Before you got here, as soon as you got in, Nick said, he's like, I want you to talk to Mary. We got to have you meet her. And it was so important for them to do that. And so I love the fact that I got to meet you right away. And I also like the fact that you always give me time.
Thank you.
So
I
thank you,
appreciate
Mary.
it. Thank you for your partnership.
Absolutely. So with that being said, you know how to find the Bobcats. You could find them syracuse.bscbobcats.com for the sports side of things. And Mary, if you'd like to tell everybody how to connect with you academically.
Yes, bryantstratton.edu on the web.
So make sure you check it out and know that it is never too late to build your destiny. We'll see you soon. And for the Bobcats, thank you, Mary. And thank you to the entire community. Go Bobcats.